Hi, my name is Bob Puggett. Today we're going to talk about gun safety. Now at the end of this presentation, you should be able to list the 4 fundamental safety rules and apply them each and every time you handle a firearm. Now guns have been part of an American tradition since colonial times. In fact, they were quite instrumental in us gaining our independence during the Revolutionary War. George Washington was even quoted as saying, "A free people ought to be armed." The Second Amendment to our Constitution guarantees us that right and privilege as U.S. citizens. Now we use guns for hunting, recreation, and self-defense. And it's a tool, like many tools that we use, if used responsibly and safely, can put food on the table, hours of enjoyable recreation, and to be able to defend you and your loved ones. Now what qualifies me to talk about guns? I spent over 22 years as a United States Marine. And one of my jobs in the Marine Corps, I was a certified small arms weapons instructor, MOS 8532. I provided marksmanship training and weapons handling skills to thousands of people all over the world. I have a Texas concealed handgun license, I'm an NRA life member, and I still give marksmanship classes today. And each and every time that I'm armed, I remind myself and all of those around me about the 4 fundamental rules that I'm going to cover with you today. Remember, safety is paramount anytime you're handling a firearm. Rule number 1, treat every gun as if it's loaded. Even if you're absolutely convinced there are no rounds in the chamber, you still show it the respect. It's a dangerous weapon. So treat every gun as if it's loaded. Rule number 2, don't point at anything you don't intend to shoot. Don't point it at your wife, your dog, your kids, a house, a car, anything that you don't intend to destroy. It's called maintaining muzzle awareness. Know where this muzzle is at all times and make sure it's not pointing at anything. Go back to rule number 1. Remember, we're going to treat it if it's loaded. So don't be pointing at things that you don't intend to shoot. Rule number 3, keep a straight trigger finger and your finger off the trigger until you're actually ready to fire. In case you get bumped or you stumble, you don't want to have an unintentional discharge. Babies are created and people die because of unintentional discharges. Rule number 4, safety. Keep the safety engaged until you're actually ready to fire. The last thing you want to do right before you start shooting is disengage the safety. The very first thing you want to do after you quit firing is re-engage the safety. Now to tie all of this together, I'll relate a story to you about a couple of armorers at a Marine Corps base that I was stationed at many years ago. Now an armorer is somebody who's responsible for the care, cleaning, maintenance, and security of weapons stored aboard a base. There was an armorer that was on duty one day, armed, with a sidearm, and a friend of his came by to see him. Now as they were talking, the armorer that was on duty drew his weapon out of his holster, pointed at his friend's head, pulled the trigger, and killed him instantly. Did not intend to do that. And he killed him in front of his wife and kids that were sitting in the car. He violated in that one instant all 4 rules that I've just covered. He didn't treat it as if it was loaded. He pointed at something he certainly did not intend to shoot. He put his finger on the trigger when he didn't need to, and the weapon was not on safe. So again, treat every weapon as if it's loaded. Don't point at anything you don't intend to shoot. Keep a straight trigger finger, your finger off the trigger. Keep the safety engaged until you're actually ready to fire. That story I just told you about was tragic. It did not have to happen. It was completely unintentional, but he violated everything that I just covered here today. Remember, safety is fundamental. It's paramount that you treat this thing with the respect and the safety that it deserves, because it can harm at the least an opportune time. Be responsible, be safe. Thank you very much.